Let me ask you something personal. Are you tired of feeling like life is constantly out of your control? Do you feel like no matter how hard you try, there's always something, stress, setbacks, or other people's opinions that pulls you down? I get it. I've been there. Life can feel overwhelming, like it's spinning faster than you can keep up. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. The power to take control of your life is already in your hands. I want to be clear. This isn't about fixing everything overnight. It's not about pretending that life doesn't come with pain, frustration, and challenges. That's not realistic. What I've learned, though, is that you don't have to be at the mercy of those things. You don't have to let them define your days or control your emotions. What if I told you that you could face life with calmness, strength, and clarity, no matter what's happening around you? It's possible. And no, it's not some far-off dream. It's something you can start building today. There's a mindset, a way of living that has stood the test of time. It's simple but powerful. It's about focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. It's about seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to grow. It's about learning to master your emotions instead of being ruled by them. I know this because I've lived it. I've faced moments where I felt stuck, lost, and powerless. But learning this approach has given me tools, not quick fixes, but real, practical tools that I use every single day to stay grounded and move forward. Let me share something personal. A few years ago, I was stuck in a cycle of stress. Every time something didn't go my way, I'd spiral. I'd obsess over things I couldn't change, get caught up in other people's drama, and let my emotions dictate my actions. It was exhausting. Then I stumbled upon a simple idea that changed everything. Control what you can and let go of the rest. That idea became my anchor. It didn't just help me survive the tough days, it helped me thrive. I started to see challenges differently, respond to setbacks calmly, and focus my energy where it mattered. The difference was night and day. I'm here to tell you that you can do the same. You don't have to let life's chaos control you. You don't have to be stuck in patterns that leave you frustrated and drained. You can take back your power and create a life that feels purposeful, calm, and resilient. And here's the best part. It doesn't require perfection. You don't have to be superhuman. You just have to start. Let's break it down together. Let's dive into a way of thinking and living that can help you become the strongest, calmest, and most focused version of yourself. You're not alone in this. Let's begin. It's incredible how much life tests us, isn't it? One moment, everything feels manageable, and the next, you're hit with something you didn't see coming. Stress piles up, emotions rise, and before you know it, you're reacting in ways you wish you hadn't. But here's a question that changed everything for me. What if the chaos outside you didn't have to create chaos inside you? What if, no matter what happened, you could stay steady, calm, and in control? That's what I want to dive into with you, because mastering emotional resilience isn't just possible, it's transformational. Let me start with this. Emotions are powerful. They can lift us up or drag us down. For a long time, I let mine take over. When things didn't go my way, I'd react without thinking, whether it was anger, frustration, or even shutting down completely. And every time I felt drained, like I was letting the world control me instead of the other way around. Then I discovered something that flipped my perspective. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. The first thing I realized is that emotions aren't the enemy, they're natural. Feeling anger, sadness, or even fear isn't the problem. It's letting those feelings run wild without understanding them. Stoicism taught me to pause when emotions hit. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That idea changed how I approached every tough situation. Let's say you're in an argument. Someone says something hurtful, and your first instinct is to lash out. I've been there. But here's the practice. When the heat rises, stop and ask yourself, is this emotion helping me or harming me? It's not easy at first, it takes practice, but that pause can completely shift your response. I started doing this, and over time, it felt like I had taken back control over situations that used to control me. What helped me even more was understanding why emotions like anger or frustration were bubbling up. Stoicism encourages us to dig deeper. I found that my anger often came from feeling like I wasn't being respected or heard. Knowing that didn't just help me manage the anger, it helped me address the root cause. I started communicating differently, standing up for myself calmly instead of exploding. Another key to resilience is recognizing the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is impulsive. It's that knee-jerk anger or panic. Responding, on the other hand, is intentional. When you respond, you're choosing your actions instead of letting emotions dictate them. The more I practiced this, the more I noticed something amazing. People respected me more. Staying calm didn't just help me, it influenced how others treated me too. One of the most powerful tools I learned is something called ataraxia. It's a state of calm and unshakable peace. But let me tell you, it's not about being numb or indifferent. It's about training your mind to focus on what matters and let go of the rest. For me, this started with a simple question I ask myself every day. What's within my control? Here's an example. I used to stress endlessly over things I couldn't change. What people thought of me, decisions that were out of my hands, or even random things like the weather ruining my plans. The more I obsessed, the more frustrated I became. Then I flipped it. If something wasn't within my control, I stopped giving it my energy. That shift didn't just bring me peace, it gave me the mental space to focus on what I could change. Another practice that has been life-changing for me is reframing challenges. Instead of seeing a tough situation as a problem, I started asking, what can I learn from this? The truth is, challenges are going to happen. There's no avoiding that. But how you see them determines how you handle them. I've learned that even the hardest moments carry lessons if you're willing to look for them. One of the most difficult lessons for me was letting go of the need to control other people. Have you ever tried to change someone's behavior or make them see your perspective? It's exhausting, isn't it? And most of the time it doesn't work. What I realized is that you can't control how others act, but you can always control how you respond. When I stopped trying to control others and focused on controlling myself, everything shifted. I felt freer, lighter, and less tied to other people's opinions or actions. Stoicism also taught me the importance of grounding myself daily. Life throws so much at us that it's easy to get swept up in the whirlwind. For me, grounding starts with a morning reflection. I take a few minutes to think about the day ahead, prepare for potential challenges, and remind myself of what really matters. It's like setting an emotional anchor before the waves hit. At the end of the day, resilience isn't about being unbreakable, it's about being adaptable. It's knowing that no matter what happens, you have the tools to face it. When you build that kind of inner strength, you stop fearing the chaos of life. You stop feeling like a victim of your circumstances. Instead, you become someone who can handle anything with calmness and clarity. This isn't something you perfect overnight. I'm still learning, still practicing. But every small step makes a difference. The more you pause, reflect, and choose your responses, the stronger you become. And let me tell you, it's worth it. Because there's no greater feeling than knowing you're in control of yourself, no matter what's happening around you. Let's keep going. There's so much more to uncover, and I promise every step we take together will bring you closer to mastering the strength and peace that Stoicism offers. Let's dive deeper. It's in life's toughest moments that we discover what we're truly made of. But let's be honest, when adversity hits, it's hard to see it as anything but pain, frustration, or defeat. We've all been there. I've had my share of moments where I felt cornered, like everything was working against me. But one of the greatest lessons I've learned is this: adversity doesn't have to be your enemy. It can be your teacher, your catalyst, even your greatest opportunity for growth. When I first encountered this idea, I didn't believe it. How could setbacks possibly be good for me? But as I began applying Stoic principles to my life, I realized that challenges don't define you, your response to them does. The obstacles you face are not there to stop you, they're there to shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. The key to this transformation is reframing. Instead of seeing challenges as problems, you begin to see them as opportunities. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a deliberate shift in how you perceive difficulties. I remember a time when I faced a significant personal setback. At first, all I could see was loss. I felt angry, disappointed, and stuck. But then I asked myself one powerful question: what can I gain from this? That shift in mindset didn't erase the difficulty, but it changed how I approached it. Instead of resisting the situation, I started looking for ways it could make me better. Stoicism teaches us that life isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about using it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just a nice quote, it's a philosophy for how to live. Every time you face an obstacle, it's an invitation to grow. The things that seem like roadblocks often force us to dig deeper, work smarter, or build skills we didn't know we needed. I've learned that one of the first steps in turning obstacles into opportunities is to take a step back. When adversity strikes, emotions run high, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. But reacting in the heat of the moment rarely leads to the best outcomes. Instead, pause. Give yourself the space to assess the situation with clarity. I've started treating challenges like puzzles rather than problems. Puzzles require patience and perspective. When you approach difficulties with curiosity instead of frustration, you open the door to finding solutions you might not have seen otherwise. Adversity also teaches you about resilience. There have been times when I've been knocked down, and it felt like getting back up wasn't worth the effort. But here's what I've learned. Every time you rise after a fall, you build strength, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Resilience is like a muscle. It grows with use, and the more you face challenges head-on, the more confidence you build in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Another critical lesson from adversity is adaptability. Life rarely goes as planned, and clinging to what should have happened only leads to disappointment. Stoicism encourages us to embrace flexibility. When one path closes, another opens, but you have to be willing to see it. I've experienced this countless times, moments when plans fell apart, and I was forced to pivot. In hindsight, those pivots often led me to better outcomes than my original plans ever could have. It's not about giving up, it's about adjusting your sails to catch the wind in a new direction. When we talk about turning obstacles into opportunities, it's also essential to focus on growth. Challenges push you out of your comfort zone, and that's where the most significant growth happens. I've faced situations that stretched me in ways I didn't think I could handle, but those same situations taught me skills, patience, and strength I carry with me today. The discomfort of growth is temporary, but the benefits are lasting. One of the most transformative aspects of adversity is the clarity it brings. When everything is going smoothly, it's easy to coast through life without questioning your path. But when challenges arise, they force you to reflect on what truly matters. I've had moments where setbacks stripped away the noise and distractions, leaving me face to face with my values and priorities. That clarity has been a gift. It's in those moments that I've made decisions that aligned more deeply with who I am and what I want out of life. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of action. When faced with a challenge, it's tempting to dwell on the problem, replaying it in your mind and wishing it away. But dwelling doesn't solve anything, action does. I've made it a habit to ask myself, what's the next step I can take, no matter how small? Taking even one step forward, no matter how uncertain or difficult, creates momentum. And once you start moving, you'll often find that the path becomes clearer. There's also something incredibly empowering about owning your response to adversity. When you stop blaming external circumstances and take responsibility for how you handle challenges, you reclaim your power. I've seen this in my own life. The more I focus on what I can control, my thoughts, my actions, my mindset, the less I feel like a victim of circumstances. And that sense of ownership is liberating. Gratitude might seem out of place when talking about adversity, but it's one of the most powerful tools I've found. When you face challenges, it's easy to focus solely on what's wrong, but if you can find even one thing to be grateful for in the midst of difficulty, it shifts your perspective. Gratitude doesn't erase the hardship, but it reminds you that there's still good in your life. It's a reminder that challenges are just one part of the bigger picture. Adversity also teaches us about empathy. When you've been through tough times, you understand what it's like to struggle. That understanding makes you more compassionate toward others. I've found that some of the most meaningful connections I've made have come from shared struggles. There's something deeply human about facing challenges and finding strength not just within yourself, but also in the support of others. Adversity reminds us of our resilience as human beings. No matter how tough things get, we're built to endure and adapt. Challenges don't last forever, but the lessons they teach us do. Every difficulty you overcome becomes a part of your story, a story of strength, growth, and transformation. And that story is what shapes you into the person you're meant to be. The beauty of this mindset is that it doesn't just prepare you for challenges, it transforms them. Obstacles become opportunities to grow, adapt, and thrive. It's not about pretending that adversity is easy. It's about recognizing that it has the potential to bring out your best. Let's continue exploring how we can live with this kind of strength and clarity. Adversity has a way of revealing who we are, but the question is, what do we do when life isn't testing us? How do we prepare ourselves to face those moments of chaos and uncertainty with strength and clarity? This is where daily practices come in. They're not just routines, they're the foundation we build to ensure that when challenges arise, we're ready. I've learned that without consistent habits to ground me, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and reactive. But with them, life feels more manageable, more purposeful. Let's dive into the practices that have transformed my mindset and can do the same for you. One of the first things I started doing was dedicating time in the morning for reflection. Before the day pulls you in 1,000 directions, you need a moment to anchor yourself. For me, this means asking simple but powerful questions. What do I want to focus on today? What potential challenges might I face? How can I respond to those challenges with patience and strength? These aren't just theoretical questions, they guide your mindset. I've found that when I skip this step, my day feels more chaotic, like I'm constantly reacting instead of acting with intention. But when I take even 5 minutes to reflect, I step into my day with clarity and purpose. Another practice that has been life-changing for me is something the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. At first, this might sound negative. Why think about things that could go wrong? But it's not about dwelling on worst-case scenarios. It's about preparing yourself mentally so that when challenges arise, they don't catch you off guard. I'll give you an example. If I know I have a difficult conversation ahead, I take a moment to visualize it. I think about what the other person might say, how I might feel, and how I want to respond. By the time the situation unfolds, I'm not as shaken because I've already walked through it in my mind. It's like rehearsing for life's inevitable challenges. Gratitude journaling is another daily practice that has brought me immense peace. Life is full of distractions and pressures, and it's easy to get caught up in what's missing or what's going wrong. But when you take a moment each day to focus on what's good, no matter how small, it shifts your perspective. For me, it's often something simple: a quiet morning, a supportive friend, or even just a deep breath that brings clarity. Writing these things down isn't just a nice exercise. It rewires your mind to focus on abundance instead of lack. And over time, this shift becomes second nature. Meditation has also been a cornerstone of my practice. For years, I resisted it. I thought sitting still and focusing on my breath sounded like a waste of time. But once I started, I realized how powerful it is. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind. It's about observing your thoughts without judgment. When I meditate, I notice patterns. I see where my mind tends to get stuck and where my energy goes. This awareness helps me redirect my focus throughout the day. Even 10 minutes of meditation can create a sense of calm that carries over into everything else. One thing I've learned is the importance of consistency. It's not about doing these practices perfectly, it's about doing them regularly. There have been days when I didn't feel like reflecting or meditating, but I showed up anyway, even if it was for a few minutes. Those small acts of discipline add up. They create a sense of stability that carries you through the ups and downs of life. The key is to start small. You don't need an hour-long routine to see results. Just commit to something manageable and build from there. Visualization has also been a powerful tool for me. This isn't about fantasizing, it's about imagining the person you want to become and the life you want to lead. I often ask myself, how would the best version of me handle this situation? This question pushes me to align my actions with my values. Visualization helps you see possibilities instead of obstacles. It reminds you that growth is always within reach. Even something as simple as a grounding breath can make a difference. When I feel overwhelmed, I pause and take a slow, deep breath, focusing on the air filling my lungs and then releasing it. It sounds basic, but it's incredibly effective. That single moment of mindfulness can break the cycle of stress and bring you back to the present. Over time, these small pauses become habits, creating a buffer between you and the chaos around you. Reflection at the end of the day is just as important as setting intentions in the morning. Before I go to bed, I take a moment to look back on the day. I ask myself, what went well? What could I have done differently? Did I live according to my values? This isn't about beating yourself up over mistakes. It's about learning from them. Some of my biggest growth has come from these quiet moments of self-honesty. Stoicism also emphasizes the value of aligning your actions with your purpose. This isn't just about grand life goals. It's about finding meaning in the small, everyday things. When I approach my tasks, whether it's work, relationships, or personal growth, I remind myself why they matter. This sense of purpose turns even mundane activities into opportunities to grow and contribute. One of the most overlooked but essential practices is creating boundaries. Without boundaries, it's easy to let other people's demands or emotions dictate your day. I've learned to protect my energy by saying no when needed and prioritizing what truly matters. This isn't selfish, it's necessary. When you set boundaries, you create space for the practices and values that keep you grounded. I want to emphasize the importance of self-compassion. These practices aren't about perfection. There will be days when you slip up or feel like you're not doing enough. That's okay. Growth is a process, not a destination. Be kind to yourself as you navigate it. Every small effort you make is a step forward. These daily practices are the foundation of a Stoic life. They don't just help you survive, they help you thrive. They give you the tools to face each day with intention, clarity, and strength. Let's continue building on this foundation, step by step, as we move forward. As I've practiced grounding myself with daily habits, one thing has become crystal clear. Much of the frustration and anxiety we feel comes from trying to control things that are entirely outside of our power. It's exhausting, isn't it? That constant tug-of-war with circumstances, people, and outcomes we wish we could bend to our will. But what if you could let go of all that weight? What if you could learn to detach, not in a cold or distant way, but in a way that sets you free from the unnecessary burden of things you were never meant to carry? This is what detachment taught me, and it changed everything. The first time I truly grasped the concept of detachment was during a situation I couldn't fix, no matter how much effort I put into it. I remember feeling this deep sense of helplessness, the kind that gnaws at you because you feel like you should be able to control the outcome. But the truth is, some things are simply beyond us. What Stoicism taught me is that this isn't failure, it's reality, and accepting reality isn't giving up, it's a path to freedom. Detachment begins with a clear understanding of what's within your control and what isn't. It sounds simple, but applying it to real life is where the challenge lies. Take relationships, for example. I've had moments where I desperately wanted someone to see my perspective, to change their behavior, or to meet me halfway. But no matter how much energy I poured into the situation, the outcome wasn't up to me. What I could control, though, was how I responded. I could choose to let go of resentment and focus on showing up with kindness, clarity, and self-respect. That shift didn't just bring me peace, it helped me focus my energy on the things I could actually influence. Letting go of what you can't control isn't just about people, it's about circumstances too. How often do we stress over things like delays, unexpected changes, or the opinions of others? I used to let those things ruin my day. If a plan didn't go perfectly, I'd stew over it, replaying scenarios in my mind and wishing things had gone differently. But here's the hard truth I've learned. Wishing something were different doesn't make it so. The only productive response is to accept what's happened and decide how you'll move forward. One of the most liberating aspects of detachment is realizing that your peace doesn't depend on external outcomes. So many of us tie our happiness to things we can't control: success, approval, or even the weather on an important day. But when you let go of that attachment, you discover something incredible. Peace comes from within. I've learned to find joy in the effort itself rather than the outcome. Whether it's a project at work or a personal goal, I focus on doing my best and let the results unfold as they will. That mindset has taken the pressure off and allowed me to approach challenges with a sense of calm and purpose. Detachment also doesn't mean you stop caring. This was a misconception I had to work through. For a long time, I thought that letting go meant becoming indifferent or apathetic. But Stoic detachment isn't about shutting down. It's about caring deeply for the things that matter while understanding that you can't force outcomes. It's about showing up fully, knowing that the rest is out of your hands. For me, this has been particularly helpful in relationships. I've learned to love and support the people in my life without trying to control their choices. That shift has brought more harmony into my connections because I'm no longer trying to fix or manage anyone else. Another powerful lesson in detachment is learning to navigate criticism. There was a time when I would let other people's opinions dictate how I felt about myself. If someone criticized me, I'd spiral into self-doubt, replaying their words over and over. But here's what Stoicism teaches. Other people's opinions are outside your control. What's within your control is how you process those opinions and whether you let them affect your self-worth. I've learned to take feedback constructively while letting go of the need for everyone's approval. That doesn't just apply to criticism, it applies to praise too. Detachment from both keeps you grounded, so you're not constantly riding the highs and lows of external validation. One of the practices that has helped me embrace detachment is focusing on the present moment. Anxiety often comes from worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, neither of which you can control. When I catch myself spiraling, I pause and ask, what can I do right now? That simple question brings me back to what's real and actionable. Whether it's taking a deep breath, sending an email, or simply acknowledging my feelings without judgment, it shifts my focus to the here and now. Stoic detachment has also taught me the value of boundaries. Letting go of what you can't control doesn't mean letting others overstep or take advantage of you. In fact, it's the opposite. When you set clear boundaries, you're drawing a line between what you're responsible for and what you're not. For me, this has meant saying no to things that drain my energy or stepping back from situations where I'm not in control. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away, they're about protecting your peace so you can show up fully where it matters most. Another layer of detachment is learning to embrace impermanence. Nothing in life is permanent, not success, not failure, not even the people we hold closest. At first, this thought scared me, but as I sat with it, I realized it's not something to fear, it's something to accept. When you stop clinging to things as if they'll last forever, you begin to appreciate them more deeply. You live in the present, savoring moments without the weight of trying to hold on to them. This perspective has brought me a sense of gratitude I didn't have before. Letting go of control is also a lesson in humility. It's a reminder that we're not in charge of everything, and that's okay. There's freedom in recognizing that life unfolds in ways we can't predict or dictate. I've learned to trust that even when things don't go as planned, there's a reason, one I may not understand right away, but one that often reveals itself in time. That trust has allowed me to let go of the need to micromanage every detail of my life. Detachment isn't about being perfect. There are still moments when I catch myself clinging to outcomes or getting frustrated over things I can't change. But the beauty of this practice is that it's always available to you. Every time you release something outside your control, you take a step closer to freedom. You reclaim your energy, your focus, and your peace. It's not about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming unshaken. As we move forward, this foundation of detachment will only grow stronger. Let's keep exploring how to build a life rooted in peace, clarity, and purpose. There's more to uncover, and I'm here to walk that journey with you. Letting go of what we can't control frees us in ways we might never expect, but it also begs a deeper question. What do we hold on to? If control isn't the goal, then what anchors us? What gives life its meaning, its sense of direction, and its purpose? For me, the answer came through the Stoic virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. These aren't just abstract ideas. They are guiding principles that shape how we live and who we become. When you build your life on these virtues, you create a foundation that no storm can shake. The first virtue, wisdom, is about seeking clarity and understanding in all things. Life throws endless information at us, and not all of it is helpful or even true. Wisdom is the ability to discern what matters and what doesn't. I've learned that wisdom starts with asking the right questions. What is this teaching me? What's within my control? What aligns with my values? These questions have been a compass for me, helping me navigate decisions with intention instead of impulse. Wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about being humble enough to keep learning and open enough to see things as they truly are. Courage, the second virtue, is about action. It's easy to understand what's right, but doing it, that's where courage comes in. For a long time I thought courage meant fearlessness, but Stoicism taught me it's not about eliminating fear, it's about acting despite it. Whether it's speaking up for what you believe in, taking a risk for something meaningful, or standing firm in your values, courage is what bridges the gap between knowing and doing. I've had moments where fear held me back, fear of failure, judgment, or even discomfort. But every time I chose courage, I grew stronger. Courage, I've realized, is a muscle, and the more you use it, the more natural it becomes. Justice, the third virtue, is about living in harmony with others. It's recognizing that we're all connected and that our actions ripple outward, affecting the people around us. For me, justice has meant holding myself accountable, not just for what I do, but for how I treat others. Am I being fair? Am I listening as much as I'm speaking? Am I contributing to the greater good, or am I caught up in my own ego? Justice challenges us to think beyond ourselves, to act with integrity, and to stand up for what's right, even when it's inconvenient. It's about leaving the world better than you found it, one choice at a time. Moderation, the fourth virtue, has been one of the hardest for me to embrace. We live in a world that celebrates extremes: work harder, want more, push further. But moderation teaches us that balance is where true strength lies. It's about knowing when to push and when to rest, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to hold on and when to let go. For years, I equated success with doing everything, but Stoicism showed me that success comes from doing the right things. Moderation isn't about playing it safe. It's about making choices that sustain you, not drain you. These virtues aren't just separate pieces. They're interconnected, each one strengthening the others. Wisdom helps you understand what courage looks like. Courage drives you to act justly. Justice reminds you to practice moderation, and moderation gives you the clarity and energy to pursue wisdom. Together, they create a life that feels purposeful and aligned, no matter the circumstances. What I've found most powerful about living with virtue is the sense of authenticity it brings. When you align your actions with these principles, you stop feeling torn between who you are and who you want to be. There's a peace that comes from knowing you're living in a way that reflects your values. For me, this authenticity has transformed how I approach everything: work, relationships, even my own self-doubt. Instead of trying to be perfect or please everyone, I focus on being virtuous. And that shift has brought me more fulfillment than any external achievement ever could. Living with virtue also helps you navigate challenges with resilience. Life will test you, your patience, your integrity, your strength. But when you ground yourself in wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation, those tests become opportunities to grow rather than obstacles to overcome. I've faced situations where it felt easier to compromise my values, to take the shortcut or avoid the discomfort, but every time I chose virtue, I came out stronger. Not because the situation was easier, but because I was proud of how I handled it. The beauty of virtue is that it's always within your control. You don't need permission, resources, or perfect circumstances to practice it. Wisdom doesn't require a degree. It requires attention and reflection. Courage doesn't mean eliminating fear. It means acting with integrity despite it. Justice doesn't demand heroics. It calls for fairness and empathy in everyday actions. Moderation isn't about deprivation. It's about balance. No matter where you are in life, these virtues are accessible to you. They're choices you can make moment by moment, day by day. Virtue also connects you to something greater than yourself. It's easy to feel isolated or insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but when you live with justice, for example, you see how your actions contribute to the well-being of others. When you practice courage, you inspire those around you to do the same. Living with virtue reminds you that your life has meaning, not because of what you achieve, but because of how you choose to show up. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that living with virtue isn't about being perfect. There will be moments when you fall short, when fear wins over courage or impatience disrupts moderation. But those moments aren't failures. They're opportunities to recalibrate. Stoicism isn't about never making mistakes. It's about learning from them and striving to do better. I've had days where I've let frustration get the better of me or avoided difficult conversations out of fear. But each time I've reflected, learned, and recommitted to living with virtue. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. As we strive to live with these virtues, we start to notice something profound. Our sense of fulfillment doesn't come from external success or validation. It comes from within. When you act with wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation, you create a life that feels rich and meaningful, regardless of what's happening around you. That's the kind of life Stoicism offers. It's not about escaping life's challenges. It's about meeting them with a strong, steady heart. Let's be honest. Transforming your life isn't about waiting for some perfect moment or magical solution. It's about starting right where you are with what you have and committing to real, meaningful change. We've explored how Stoicism helps you stay calm amid life's chaos, how it turns obstacles into opportunities, and how daily practices like reflection, gratitude, and letting go of what you can't control create a solid foundation for growth. And at the heart of it all is living with virtue, aligning your actions with wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation to build a life of purpose and fulfillment. This isn't just philosophy. It's practical. It's a roadmap to face challenges with resilience, to embrace uncertainty with strength, and to live a life that feels truly authentic. I know it works because I've seen the changes in my own life, and I want the same for you. The power is already in your hands. You just need to take the first step. Now, here's where you come in. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's the one practice or mindset shift from Stoicism that you're most excited to try? Leave a comment below and share. It's a great way for us to learn and grow together. And if you found even a little inspiration or clarity here, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Not just for me, but so you don't miss the tools and insights that can help you on this journey. Let's keep walking this path together, one step at a time. The life you want to create is closer than you think. Start now, and let's make 2025 the year everything changes. You've got this. I believe in you.